What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Bulls Report. As we got a big-time report to break down today, as apparently the Bulls' relationship with Zach LaVine is completely shattered. This was coming in from Casey Johnson of NBC Sports Chicago. So we'll be breaking down that report. Then also, I do want to get you guys the latest around DeMar DeRozan on the second half of today's show. Apparently, the Miami Heat are interested in him. And then also, Mark J. Spears throughout the Sacramento Kings as a DeMar DeRozan destination. So we'll talk about that here in a second. But first off, I do just want to say thank you so much to everybody who has hit that subscribe button during this, crazy free agency period and just, overall offseason for the Chicago Bulls. I know we get reports left and right every single day, suggesting a different thing and just, I appreciate you guys just following along throughout this whole process with me. So thank you so much for 8.3 thousand subscribers. But hey, we're 181 subscribers away from 8,500. So if you guys could subscribe, never miss a thing around your Chicago Bulls, I would really appreciate it. But let's dive into the quote from Casey Johnson, suggesting that the relationship between the Bulls is just, completely over and it's, can't be fixed. But he said the Bulls continue shopping LaVine to anyone that picks up the phone. LaVine and his representation at Clutch Sports feel like they have been misled on possible trade destinations. And the Bulls thought LaVine opting for season-ending foot surgery when rehab on the injury was still on the table was a counterpunch thrown below the belt. This is just getting toxic. The fact that Clutch Sports is coming out saying that they were misled on Zach LaVine trade destinations, that's hilarious to me because he doesn't have a market. You can't be picky and choosy when you have one of the worst contracts in the NBA. You got one of the worst reputations in the NBA in terms of being a locker room presence. This relationship is getting toxic. And then also LaVine, the fact that he opted to get that season-ending surgery last year, and hey, I think it ended up working out for the Bulls. Kobe White and Ayo were able to take that next step. But this relationship is getting out of hand. It's a toxic relationship. And the fact that Clutch Sports is putting that out there, that they felt like they were misled on some potential trade destinations for Zach LaVine, hey, newsflash, there is no market for you. How could we mislead you, on a possible trade destination when we can't even find a single suitor to take on your contract? Get to this. We do have a new report. The Bulls' relationship with Zach LaVine, like I said, is completely shattered. And, we do have reports that the Sacramento Kings and Warriors are still interested in a Zach LaVine trade. This was coming in from Casey Johnson. Now, the Warriors need to do something. They've been pretty quiet throughout free agency, obviously letting, Klay Thompson walk. They didn't make a big move yet for Lauri Markkanen, even though we've gotten reports that they could be suggested to do so. But they lost out on Klay. Haven't made a move on Lauri yet. Couldn't land any other big-time free agent to pair up with Steph Curry. And if you're Golden State, this is a guy in Steph Curry who's completely changed the direction of your franchise, made you one of the most, respected organizations in the entire NBA, and you're not going to go all in on his last couple of years of him playing top 10 player in the world type of basketball. The Warriors need to do something, and I'll tell you what, I am still shocked at the Warriors said no to a deal of Andrew Wiggins and CP3 for Zach LaVine. I am shocked that they declined that. I think that would have been a good fit with Golden State, and I'm actually still a believer if the Warriors could somehow swing LaVine and Lauri Markkanen this offseason, I actually think there would be a tremendous basketball team heading into the next season because I do think LaVine, he's a very good off-ball player. We don't give him enough credit for that. He's a great catch-and-shoot three-point guy. And in that Warriors system where it's constant ball movement, constant, off-ball movement, I actually think a guy like LaVine, would fit in very nicely. And, if we just take away this past season and you just look at the 3 seasons before, LaVine's had a great NBA career. He is a professional scorer. Whatever you think of him, defensively, his leadership, just him in the locker room, I hear all that, his contract. We know all the red flags on Zach LaVine, but if we just keep it on the court, specifically on the offensive side of the floor, LaVine is an elite 3-level scorer. He's an elite athlete. Averaging 25-plus points per game on incredible efficiency as well. I could see the Warriors being all in on LaVine potentially if they could somehow swing a trade, involving Andrew Wiggins. But the team that I think is likely the trade for Zach LaVine is the Sacramento Kings. And we'll talk about more about the Kings when we get to the DeMar DeRozan piece on today's show. But apparently the Chicago Bulls are fans of Kevin Huerter via KC Johnson. And, I actually wouldn't hate a Kevin Huerter move to the Chicago Bulls. We haven't, Bulls really haven't had a true shooter on this team, honestly, since like a guy like Kyle Korver. And I think just having a pure shooter you can run off, pin down, just help spread the floor. And especially, think about this youth movement that the Bulls are heading to. I think a big, way you could help some of these young guys is by having floor spacers on the court. Like just having Kobe White just have more, room on the offensive side of the floor to work. Even Patrick Williams and adding a guy like Kevin Huerter would do so. But we heard that the Kings are most likely going to want a first-round pick for Zach LaVine as well, or on top of acquiring Zach LaVine. Well, what about this? I think people forget about this a lot, that the Chicago Bulls have the Portland Trailblazers 2025 first-round pick. This is lottery protected. It is not going to convey. The Portland Trailblazers will be in the lottery. They will have their own first-round pick. Well, what if you just throw this into a Kings deal and you're able to land Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes, some of the best play finishers we have in the NBA, and they were great last season for Sacramento. I mean, shooting the ball, obviously Kevin Huerter had a down shooting year at only 36%, from downtown, but Harrison Barnes, a veteran guy who can help mentor maybe a guy like Patrick Williams. I think that's an aspect we don't think about the most, but both these players great at finishing plays offensively, and I think there would be big-time pickups for the Bulls. And I actually think, even though they're not, young players, especially Harrison Barnes, I actually do think they could help the youth movement as they have been through the ups and downs of the NBA world. And plus Harrison Barnes is the NBA champion. I think just having those guys in the locker room, could help these guys. But if this is the trade right here, I say you take it and run. I think this would be a great trade for the Bulls. Number one, you're able to move off of LaVine as this relationship is just, getting toxic at this point. So if you're able to move off him and land two, solid play finishers there in Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes, I say you take it and run. But you guys let me know. Would you accept this trade? Give me an A for accept or a D for decline down in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts. And yeah, would you do this deal? Comment down below. Well, let's get to the latest around DeMar DeRozan. Is this saga for DeMar? I honestly am starting to feel bad for him, as I don't think his market was as big as he originally thought entering free agency. But the newest team to get involved in the DeMar DeRozan sweepstakes, how about the Miami Heat? Apparently this came out yesterday that the Heat and DeMar DeRozan are going to meet, and they have interest there. I don't think it would be a sign and trade with Miami. I think it would just be a one-year deal, maybe $20 million. Maybe that's a deal that gets them, over the tax there. So keep your eyes out on the Heat. I expect a decision to come, honestly, today if that's going to go down. Barry Jackson, who works with who's tapped in with Miami Sports, he did say he expects a result within the next 24 hours. So just want to get you guys the news there. But the team that I think is more likely than not going to target DeMar DeRozan is, how about the Sacramento Kings? So this was from ESPN yesterday. Mark J. Spears said this. He said the Kings are a dark horse to get DeMar DeRozan. The Kings will be back in the postseason next year. They got a move coming soon. And if you guys don't know, Spears is pretty close with DeMar DeRozan and his camp. He's the one that actually predicted that DeRozan was going to head to the Bulls back in 2021. So I could easily see that being the case. A veteran guy, the have around Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, like the Western Conference is loaded. Like if you want to make a serious deep playoff run here, you're going to have to be aggressive and you're going to have to overpay for maybe the likes of a DeMar DeRozan or a Zach LaVine. So this is my prediction right now. I think the Bulls and Kings will get a trade done this offseason, whether it's for DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine. I think it's going to be, built around the package of Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes to get that done. But that's what I think. That's my bold prediction. And I think DeMar would be a good fit, with what Sacramento wants to do. They need, even though De'Aaron Fox is a great clutch player, but just to have that other option, let's just say, late in these games, he's getting blitzed in a pick and roll. You can throw it to DeMar DeRozan, and, he can help finish games. And, DeMar's been great for the Bulls, all-star in 2 of the last 3 seasons. And I actually think DeMar's got more value as a playmaker, which I think would be more of his role in Sacramento, and specifically looking at that 2020-21 year where he was with San Antonio, he did almost get up to 7 assists per game, which I feel like people would just, sleep on that part of DeRozan's game. But, speaking about DeRozan, it just seems like his market is slim right now, and I kind of feel bad for him. because he's been a great locker room guy. He's still a great basketball player. It's just, with these new CBA rules, like it's just tough to, is DeMar DeRozan a good enough third option at, let's say, $20 million a year? Like, I don't know. And, that's the tough thing about the CBA. You got to get so, picky with, the players you choose. And, I think it's a result in a guy like DeMar, not necessarily getting completely flooded out of free agency here, but his market's slim. And I just kind of feel bad for him because he's had a really good last 3 years in the NBA. And I think, honestly, I will honestly contribute it to a lot about just the Chicago Bulls. Like, I think when people view Bulls players right now, they're just like, oh, I don't want that. I don't want any of that, losing basketball culture, coming to my organization. But, DeMar, his market is slim right now. I'm hoping he can go, hopefully join a contender. I like the Miami Heat fit for him, or even the Sacramento Kings. I just hope DeMar DeRozan's playing playoff basketball, hopefully in about 10 months from now. But you guys, I want to ask you this. I had somebody comment this on a live show the other day and was like, DeMar's a top 10 player of all time for the Chicago Bulls. So I want to ask you guys, is DeMar DeRozan a top 10 player of all time? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Now, I think he's right on that border. Obviously, you got like D Rose, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, Kukoc. I think all those guys are up there, even like a Joakim Noah, Boozer. But, I do think what DeMar DeRozan's done for this organization, he's right in that 8 to 10 range. Like, I think we're going to look back at when Kobe White and Io, they're really taking their steps up, over the next 5 years. A lot of that's going to, have to do with DeMar DeRozan. So I think he's probably around the 8th, 9th, 10th best Bulls player of all time. But, nothing but respect for DeMar and what he's done for this organization. But, guys, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We'll keep you posted with everything around your Chicago Bulls. So hit that subscribe button, lock us in. We'll see you guys next time. As always, go Bulls.